It's official, NASCAR is heading south of the border in 2025, heading to Mexico City for an amazing NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity, and Mexico Series race. But this is not the first time that NASCAR has gone south of the border. Which NASCAR Cup Series stars have a leg up with wins already at the circuit? And what will be the biggest challenge for these NASCAR Cup teams going road racing in Mexico in 2025?
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Me?
Can I not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, you guys! You're waiting out, boys! One hell of a job, man, one hell of a job. Thank you so much.
I am here for this, man. NASCAR going south of the border for the first time since 2008. By the way, the first time the Cup Series has gone south of the border for a points-paying race since the 1950s. Let's go. Welcome on into Shifting Gears. I'm Alan Bailey. Lots to go over in this episode. No, the full 2025 schedule has not been announced yet, but we got a bigger piece of the puzzle today. And before we get into it, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you don't miss a video. And of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I'm really excited, man. Coming off an amazing Daytona race, heading into the Southern 500, the final regular season race this weekend out in Darlington. We get the news that NASCAR is heading south of the border down to Mexico, more specifically to the Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez course, which is a place that was built back in 1959. It was redone in 2015. Amazing facility, honestly. The NASCAR Xfinity Series raced there from 2005 until 2008, and I actually think we had a pretty good, successful little run with the then NASCAR Nationwide Series, now the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we saw that place sell out multiple times and then get close to selling out the last few years, and the contract ran out and the recession kind of happened, so NASCAR decided, no, we're not going to go ahead and drive south of the border with these teams. It's a little too expensive, but you know what? Now we're back in Mexico. This is a long time coming. NASCAR has been working on this for a hot damn minute. They wanted to try to go north and south of the border in 2025, but unfortunately talks with Canadian circuits didn't really get to where they needed to be. But Mexico, on the other hand, stepped up in a big way, and now we're going back there. The track itself, 17 curves. It is a 4.3 kilometer, which is about a 2.67 mile road course. Really cool facility, really challenging facility for these drivers. It does have a lot of the amenities that you should be seeing at a modern NASCAR or racing facility. The place was redone in 2015, and we're seeing those changes. We will see those changes when we go down there. A lot of the media has talked about the area. It is in Mexico City, one of the largest cities on the planet, not just in Mexico, but on the planet. And I am all there for it because this is going to be a great race. A lot of media members, a lot of the NASCAR personnel were kind of moaning and groaning, in particular one kind of sort of part-time podcast host, former spotter, was complaining, a lot of crime. I never felt safe. Well, leave your racial prejudices at home because this facility is secure. A lot of NASCAR media members on social media just today alone were stepping up saying, no, when I went there for those 4 NASCAR Xfinity Series races, I had a blast. We had wonderful cell phone reception, great food, great people, and great hospitality all the way around. Mexico City, although it is a very busy, bustling city, it is tourist friendly, and you don't need to speak Spanish in order to get around. It does help immensely, don't get me wrong, to speak the native language, but I think that with NASCAR coming to town, you're going to have a lot of people kind of catering towards the NASCAR crowd who's in town. The place itself holds over 110,000 seats. That is amazing. This place will sell out. I can feel it in my nuggets because this place has honestly put on phenomenal racing for the better part of 70-something years. And this place will put on a good NASCAR show. Mark my words. Now, back in 05 through 08, the NASCAR Xfinity Series did race there for 4 years, and during those 4 years, we saw Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Martin Truex Jr. all picking up victories at the circuit. These drivers are going to have the leg up. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, they've already seen the circuit, but honestly, I don't think it's that simple. don't necessarily go put your life savings on these two drivers. I think that this facility, honestly, is going to create disparity because drivers haven't really been to this place in a modern Cup car. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, they were racing the old Xfinity cars out there and they won in them, which is wonderful, don't get me wrong, but it's a very different car than what these Cup cars are. The Xfinity Series is going to be a banger of a race, my gosh. But obviously, because it's a road course, you're going to see your road course ringers near the front. SVG is going to be a massive threat to win out there. So is AJ Allmendinger, but you also have your road course specialists like the Tyler Rennicks, like the Chase Elliott's, who are going to step up and be in contention to win out there. Same in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I see a lot of Cup drivers heading down and racing the Xfinity race in June out there just to get some more seat time before the Cup race on Sunday, and it's a smart move. I would do it too. I'm looking for a NASCAR Xfinity Series ride for that weekend if I'm a Cup Series driver, just to get some more seat time. And frankly, same with the NASCAR Mexico Series, which is going to be racing down there to kind of open the weekend up. I'm going to try to race all three if it's me racing in the Cup Series, just to get that practice, to see what the track does, and to get used to the circuit. June 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2025. This race does replace one of the Richmond dates, and thank God. I know we saw a banger of a Richmond race because of the tires and because of the Austin Dillon drama at the end of the race this last year, but I'm okay with that racetrack going down to a single date. I'm a big fan of tracks only having one date and getting a second date for the playoffs or for a historic event like the Southern 500, like the second Daytona race. I'd rather see NASCAR go to more circuits and get in front of more fans locally than go to the same tracks over and over and over again and produce racing. And I do think that going down to Mexico is a really good long-term plan. You see that NASCAR expanded to the LA Coliseum for a few years. Now we're going back to Bowman Gray next year. You saw NASCAR going to Chicago. NASCAR is trying to get in front of its fans. They're trying to go where the people are. For the longest time, NASCAR was built and ran on this build it and hope they will come mentality. And that is wonderful. It is a great theory, but it doesn't always work out. It's hard to go ahead and go into a big market like Los Angeles, where literally 10 million people are within a 30-mile radius, and yet it's really hard to get them to drive literally 45 miles outside of Los Angeles to Fontana, California. And this is the case literally with every other racetrack. The reason I bring up Los Angeles is because I am currently sitting in Los Angeles, and I know how tough it is here locally for fans to get out to that racetrack. We deal with it getting out to Irwindale, which is literally about 15, 20 miles from downtown Los Angeles. So you see that disparity, you see that problem. This track in Mexico is literally in Mexico City, almost in the heart, dead center of the city. And this track is going to attract people. There is mass transit heading into the area and around the area. You're going to see a lot of people getting in and out of this racetrack, hopefully a little bit easier than some of the bigger facilities that we see. But you got to understand, this track is literally about the size of Indianapolis as far as seating capacities, and that is insanely incredible. It's the closest thing we have in Mexico, so I'm very excited to see NASCAR get to this facility. I think it's funny because you go back to the 1950s, the early 1950s. I think it was actually 1950, 1951. Someone check my math on that one, but Bill France Sr. and NASCAR Hall of Famer Curtis Turner actually raced in the Pan Americana race down there and almost drove it off a cliff, actually. But you have a very rich history with NASCAR racing in Mexico dating back to literally the 1950s with its founder and one of its superstars. It's the equivalent of Ben Kennedy and probably Kyle Larson heading down to Mexico and running a race simultaneously, which, by the way, that would be a cool duet to kind of race a race down in Mexico. I'm very down for that. Yes, please. But I'm very excited about this. The thing that I want to point out, though, is that you can go on to NASCARmexico.com right now in order to get information about tickets. Tickets have not gone on sale yet, but part of the ticket process where you kind of put your name on a reserve list for tickets for this race, June 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2025, you'll actually see one of the options is, what kind of music do you like? Are you a pop fan? Are you a rock fan? Electronic music or NASCAR or Mexico regional music? And at the very bottom, it actually asks, which 3 live artists do you want to see live? Coldplay, Foo Fighters, or the Arctic Monkeys, which I think is great because NASCAR is putting a greater emphasis on concerts at the racetrack. Now, this isn't a make or break for me and probably you, the diehard NASCAR fans, but for the casual NASCAR fans that have never been to a NASCAR race, this is a huge selling point. Hearing that the Arctic Monkeys, the Foo Fighters are playing at this NASCAR race and that you can go watch them live while watching a NASCAR race simultaneously for one flat price is really, really good for getting those stands filled and for getting first-time NASCAR fans out to the racetrack. I'm all about bringing in other forms of entertainment in combination with the NASCAR race to help new fans get out to the racetrack. I don't think that that's necessarily necessary in this instance because I do think you're going to get the better part of 60 to 70,000 people showing up just for the NASCAR race. Not just for the NASCAR Mexico race, but for the Xfinity and the Cup race. When you combine that with other musical acts, and I'm not saying that those artists are the one that are showing up at this race in 2025. I'm just saying that those are the names that NASCAR's throwing out there. Like, hey, who are you a fan of? Which musical artist should we get for this? And I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest with you. I was even asking my wife and my mother-in-law, who own property not too far from where this race is going to be held, hey, what's the music scene like down there? And it's a little bit of everything. There's a lot of Americanized music that's down there. So I'm curious to see how this race plays out, what the culture is going to be like when we get down there. I legitimately think I'm going to this one. I really, really, really want to go to this one. I have family down there. I've always wanted to go to Mexico City, same with my wife, and I think this is kind of like the work trip excuse that I have to get down there finally and check out a really cool race. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about NASCAR heading south of the border, racing the NASCAR Cup Series Xfinity and the NASCAR Mexico Series June 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2025? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you don't miss a video. And of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. That's going to go ahead and do it for me. I'm going to go ahead and check my green card and my passport and make sure I'm all up to snuff and ready to go. I cannot wait. NASCAR is heading to Mexico in 2025. For everyone here at Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.